How's it going, everyone? Matt Diamond with Kalshi, and today we're going to talk about something pretty interesting: how to trade event contracts on rents, specifically New York City rents, and the housing market. And to the left, you can see some of the contracts that we're going to look at and structure some trades. Starting with that first one, 30-year mortgage rate. The next one below that, NYC rent as far as monthly increases, NYC rent as far as a yearly increase, and then the US house price yearly. Now I'm going to focus on a few different ways as far as information that you can use on how to come up with trade ideas around these specific topics. The first one is going to be the Fed raising rates or lowering rates. The Fed has been consistently increasing rates, but we're going to structure it on both sides. So that way, if in the near future, they do decide to start cutting rates. The next way is going to be able to do some research using the information that you have online to be able to come up with the idea of what could possibly happen in the future. Some examples are going to be websites like Zillow or another website like streeteasy.com. And the third way is going to be using the forecast tool on the back end of Kalshi on the specific event contract that you want to trade. Now let's talk about if the Fed continues to increase rates like they have been doing. If you look at this chart on the bottom right, this is from right around 2020. And as you can see, right around the end or the beginning of 2022, those rates started to increase pretty drastically and consistently. So let's say that we're going to take the idea that we believe that the Fed is going to continue to increase rates because that's what they've been doing the last little bit. And we think that that trend is going to remain intact. Now what we would want to do is go into the back end of Kalshi, go into the 30-year mortgage rate. And if the Fed continues to increase rates, then that would mean that mortgage rates would increase as well. So what we would want to do is right now they're trading around 7% or mortgage rates are about 7. So if we believe that they are going to continue to get more expensive, those rates are going to increase, then we would want to trade the yes contracts to the upside. Now let's structure a trade on the other side of that. Rates have been increased pretty consistently, and we believe that in the near future, there is going to be a rate cut, and those internal Fed rates are going to come down a little bit. Now to go back to Kalshi to structure the trade, going into the 30-year mortgage rate, and if the internal Fed rate is going to be cut, then we think mortgage rates are going to be cut as well. So if they're right around that 7% or even higher, what we would want to do is trade the no contracts to the upside because we believe that they're going to come in, they are not going to be increased. And vice versa. If we believe that they are going to lower a little bit, it would be trading the yes contracts to the downside. So that was a good example on the 30-year mortgage rate. Now let's go talk about NYC rents using a little bit of research. So this is an interesting graph on StreetEasy that shows the rental price index. And as you can see from 2021, it's just consistently gone up. Rent is getting very expensive, and the historic graph shows that it continuously just increases in price. So if we're going to use that graph and that information to structure a trade, believing that that rent is only going to increase every month and increase every year, then what we would want to do, let's start with the monthly first. Go to NYC rent, and whatever it's currently at right now, so above 0%, 0.5, or above 1%, if we believe that it's continuously just going to get substantially more expensive, then what we would want to do is trade those yes contracts to the upside because the trend has shown that it just continuously gets more expensive. So that was NYC rent on the monthly increase. Now let's do the yearly. So using that StreetEasy graph that we found, we believe that rent is going to continuously go up, and we think that it's going to go anywhere from 2 to 4%. What we're going to want to do is trade these yes contracts because we think that rent is only going to get more expensive. So the likelihood is that it's going to be above the 2% or above that 4%. And now let's take the other side of that. So let's say we believe that rent is actually going to come in a little bit in the near future. Then what we could do to easily structure a trade is trade the no contracts to the above 2% and the above 4% because we don't think that it's going to get to those percentages. So we've shown an example on how to trade the 30-year mortgage rate based on if the Fed increases rates or they cut rates, the NYC rents monthly and yearly based on doing a little bit of research using that StreetEasy graph that I showed before. And then now we're going to go into the US house price yearly, and we're going to use the forecast tool on the back end of Kalshi to structure a trade. So now let's click on the US house price yearly, and right here, this forecast button, what you can do is it gives you some information just based on probabilities. That's all trading is. 0 to 2, a 12% chance, 2 to 4, a 55% chance, and over 4 is 16%. So if you've done a little bit of research or you're not really sure as far as the Fed's going to increase rates or cut rates, and you want to use some simple statistics on how to structure a trade, you can just go with this. and 2 to 4 shows that that's the best probability of that playing out. So you can structure a trade with a 55% chance of being in your favor. And we know the cost of housing has gone up pretty consistently for a while now. So if we think that that's going to continue and the forecast tool says 2 to 4, there's a 55% chance we can use this information to structure the trade. So we get out of that, and then we are going to go to that 2 to 4. And just using those probabilities that we got from that forecast tool, if we think that it's going to be that 2 to 4, then we're going to want to trade the yes contracts on above 2% and play the probability, which is in our favor. So those are a few different ways on how to structure some trades on the event contracts of NYC rent and the housing market, whether it be the Fed is going to increase rates or cut rates, doing a little bit of research on your own or using the forecast tool on the back end of Kalshi. So that's it for the video. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.